This Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Tonight I'm going to do a video on some toxic behavior that, while not necessarily directly related to narcissism as far as the narcissist, it is very common with the flying monkeys, the enablers, etc. So, a situation that I thought was rather unique. I've recently kind of discovered that it's unfortunately much more common than I had thought, to the point that I almost wonder if it's almost a norm. Maybe not the majority, but certainly happens much more than people would suspect. And the situation is one that I found myself in during my separation and divorce 5-6 years ago. And so the situation was, I was happily married and in a marriage with my wife. We'd been together for, at that point, about 18-19 years. 2 kids, suburban house, stable job, 6-figure income, nice house, good schools, and life insurance, medical insurance, etc. Basically living the suburban dream. But as some more cynical people would say, some women prefer excitement over stability and contentment. I don't know if that's the case with my wife and what happened, but I do know that that kind of describes things at a very high level. So everything is going along fine, and then my wife has a midlife crisis, and all of a sudden, instead of being 42, she's acting and thinking that she's 21, and she just wants to party and do drugs and not work and just be nuts and shopping and spending every dime that's in the bank. So, as goes along with this, having multiple affairs. So what's interesting with all that is that she had her friends, her social circle, her female friends, and they were all married. Now, while they were married at the time, it was them that were very discontent with their marriages. And while my wife previously would just say, no, I don't have that problem, and my husband's communicative, and if we have a problem we can talk about it, and the home life is fine, all that type of stuff, while her female friends would complain and complain and complain. And needless to say, their stories were always that, oh, my husband's lazy, oh, my husband hasn't touched me in 5 years, oh, my husband is cuckoo crazy but refuses to go to therapy, refuses to take his medicine, all this type of stuff. And just really flooding my wife with stories of their discontent. What happened was, once my wife had her midlife crisis and started acting ridiculous and having all these multiple affairs, the social circle with all of these unhappy but married women cheered her on and basically were her supporters to a disgusting degree, to the point that they went out of their way to collude with my still wife at the time. And so when she would go out on, say, Tinder dates, they would coordinate with her to have an alibi. And so my wife and her friend would say, "Oh no, we're just watching Love Actually on the TV and eating popcorn. That's what we're doing tonight." When in fact my wife was probably 30 miles away, having a Tinder date. And this went on with all of her female friends that were married. I mean, I honestly can't think of a single one that said, "Whoa, this is not okay. This is not all right." And either said, "Okay, what you're doing is not right. It's not okay. That's not a mature way to handle things. It's not appropriate. It's not something that you do within a marriage, etc." And also, no one stepped up and said, "You're going to lose your family. You're going to lose your husband. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose this life and this lifestyle that you've enjoyed for the past 20 years. That is what you are throwing away by doing this. You need to stop. You need to just stop and think about the consequences of your actions." No one said that to my wife. In fact, they cheered her on. And they were like, "Yeah, oh my God, I'm so jealous. Oh my God, you're going out on all these Tinder dates. Oh my God, you're so lucky. I wish that I could go out on, Tinder dates with all these, strangers, because my, husband hasn't touched me in 5 years. And, oh my God, I'm so glad that you're getting a chance to go out and do drugs because, I'm at home and my husband, doesn't, like drugs, and he would never allow me to take them in the house, and just really egged her on." And then when she would go off and do these things and come back, they would say, "Okay, to give me all the juicy details, let me know." So they were all basically living vicariously through my wife at the time. And again, none of them did anything as far as addressing the issues within their own marriages. That was 6 years ago. None of those women filed for divorce in the past 6 years. None of them separated. As far as I know, nothing has changed at all. I mean, honestly, I don't even think that they've gone to like couples counseling to discuss their issues or anything. Just absolutely no change at all. And so, at least for me, it was just this disgusting level of hypocrisy and toxicity to enable and basically be a cheerleader for my wife to basically, have this midlife crisis and, come up with like a new persona and destroy the marriage, lose the house, lose the husband, lose the kids, and just basically leave absolute wreckage behind her and do damage that's honestly irreparable. I mean, I'm not going to go too far off on this tangent, but let's be blunt. Up until that point, my 2 kids had a very healthy model of two people in love, two people in a relationship, and marriage. Both that there was like communication, there was love, but also stability and, loyalty and consideration. And the kids, thrived and grew up seeing that positive model. And then my wife at the time took a hand grenade out and blew that to smithereens. And it messed up my kids bad. It messed them up, bad for about a year. I won't go into details, but it was concerning. It was scary. It was frightening. And I was extremely worried about what could happen. Over time, my kids acclimated to the divorce, but they acclimated with just sheer cynicism. I mean, at this point, because what they saw, I don't think neither of them, or either of them, will ever get married or even consider it. So, again, like I'm pointing out, like, because of my wife's actions, she changed changed my kids and their future. At this point, they no longer see marriage as a viable option, or even, one that makes sense. So, and again, like, I could place a lot of that blame, on my ex-wife, which is fair and appropriate. But there is so much blame that lays, upon the shoulders of her friends. They were, enablers, flying monkeys, if you will. And they were, beyond that, they were cheerleaders. They pushed her to go farther and farther and farther in this, spiraling madness that she went through at the time. And, again, it's something that, getting back to specifically narcissism, it's something that people mention, but they mention it and then they go on to a different topic. And so, narcissists don't exist in a vacuum, and that they have their flying monkeys, which will stand by them no matter what, and, at worst, cheer them on to do these horrible, toxic, malicious things. And then there are the enablers, the so-called friends, who turn a blind eye to the toxic and malicious behavior of the narcissist and just do some mental gymnastics and say, oh, well, they're my friend, therefore it's not my place to judge what they do. Or they're my friend, so I need to stand by them no matter what horrible, horrible, malicious, and sometimes illegal thing they do, because friends stick with friends. And the problem is that makes the problem so much worse. And when I say problem, let's be honest. In a lot of cases, just flat out narcissistic abuse. And that might be something where the flying monkey or the enablers have created circumstances to, facilitate, let that abuse happen. Or they might have a hand in it. They might actually be complicit. and the narcissist might say, hey, can you, do such and such with me? Or can you lie for me? Can you say this to my partner? Can you cover for me? And stuff like that. And a lot of the time the enablers, the flying monkeys will say, yeah, you got it. You got it. And again, I don't know the psychology of these bastards. I don't know how these flying monkeys and enablers look themselves in the mirror. I don't know how they sleep at night. And if I sound a little bit emotional about this, it's because I know some, and I see them often, and it's just revolting and disgusting to me that they know exactly what my narcissist did and the level of physical abuse, narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse that happened, and they still took her side even today, a year later. So yeah, I want to make this video because I think that the issue of enablers and flying monkeys is one that doesn't get touched on enough. And I had some good examples, from my own life where I feel like it really changed the course of my life, and honestly, it changed the course of my kids' life. So hopefully this video's been helpful. Thanks.